guys, what is up, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Giovanni, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about the biggest books that I have on my TBR pile. Just to let y'all know, really a preference of mine is I prefer to read bigger / longer books than the little short ones. I know that some people prefer to read just smaller books. It makes their TBR pile look bigger. It makes it look like the amount of books that you read in a month is a lot bigger. But personally for me, I like bigger books. I'm not that intimidated by them. So those are just my personal preference. Like, the bigger the book, the more that I'm encouraged to read it. So I do have quite a few books in my TBR pile, my physical TBR pile, that I'm going to go through with y'all and show what I have still to read. I believe all of the books that are on my TBR pile for like the big ones that I have they're about like 600 pages. So I'm going to go through all of them with y'all. So the first book that I have here is Swan Song by Robert McCammon. This one was part of the buy one get one 50% off at Barnes & Noble, and it has 928 pages. I've heard a little bit about this. I've been told that I would like this book if I liked The Stand by Stephen King, which I absolutely love that book. So definitely a thick book to read, but I'm super excited. It actually just came out in like a regular paperback like this. I know that they have like the really small, like the mass paperback. It's like half the price, but those, I feel like you have to like crack the spine in order to read the book. And I'm all about, you know, destroying my books, writing through them, dog-earing them, but I'm not a spine cracker. So I like this one because I can just leave it out like this and it doesn't damage the spine. So I'm super excited to read this. I haven't seen that much of it online other than comparing it to The Stand, but I love apocalyptic / post-apocalyptic books, so I'm super excited to read this. So the next book that I have is Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. I don't know how y'all pronounce it. I'm still trying to figure it out, but this one is 720 pages. It doesn't look that big, but yeah, the pages are pretty thin. I don't know too much about this book other than it's about crime and punishment. And I've heard so many great things about this author. I feel like in the classics world of like book talk and Insta books, this author is just blowing up for the brothers Karamazov. But I found this one at half price. This was the only one from the author that I found at half price. And I've never been much of a classics person. I found very few that I like, but kind of wanted to dive into the classics era, classics genre a bit, and see if this will change my mind. From what I've seen, I already like his style of writing, so we'll just see how the whole story goes. So the next one that I have here is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, and this is another classics novel. This one is 864 pages long. I've heard this is like the best classic literature book ever, and I think what really drew me to this book was the, what are they called, like the dedications that they have in the front of the book. This one wasn't really a dedication. It was just a line, and it says, I don't know if y'all can see it, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay." I heard so many great things about this book. I also plan on annotating it as well. I think I might have a couple different other classics that I just recently bought, even though after this I'm on a book buying ban. So I'm super excited to read this as well and see if I am into some more classics. So the next book that I have is Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. I am still going through all the Stephen King books and trying to read through all of his but this one is 704 pages, which is crazy. That's only 704 pages. It's really big. But I watched the movie prior to reading this book, and I thought that the movie was really good, so hopefully I have high hopes for this one. But typically with Stephen King's books and movies, I tend to like the books a lot more, so very high hopes for this one. The next one that I have, I decided to include this in this video because it's like 3 books in one, but it's just one really big book. So it's The Rising by Myra Grant, and it has the first 3 books in here. What are the names of them? I think it's Feed, Rise, and Feedback. I'm probably butchering that, but I'll leave it on here. But this is 3 books in one, which makes it 1,151 pages. This one is also a post-apocalyptic setting. This is like a zombie virus that breaks out, and I believe it's this girl and her brother who is trying to survive in this post-apocalyptic world. And I believe there's supposed to be some funny parts to it as well from what I've seen. But if you know me, I love any post-apocalyptic book. I love any zombie book, so I'm super excited to read this one. This next one that I have here is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Yes, another Stephen King book. I think that's why I'm also drawn to his books, aside from the horror genre, that he writes pretty decent sized novels, because this one is 672 pages long. I have never been a fan of vampires. I literally cannot think of any book or any movie, any show that has vampires that I've liked, so hopefully this one will change my mind. The next one that I have is, this is a fiction, not a real, you know what I mean, it's not a made-up story. This one is The Lucifer Effect, Understanding How Good People Turn Evil by Philip Zimbardo. I have had this in my TBR pile for at least 10 years. I don't know why I still have it. I don't know why I think I'm ever going to get to it, but if anything, I'm probably going to have to like break this up into small chunks and read it instead of just trying to read it all by itself. This one is 576 pages. I bought this when I was in my like true crime era. I don't know. It sounded like a really good book at Barnes & Noble. I would see it all the time. And this was back when, does it even have the price? I want to say this book was maybe like $18, and I was like, wow, that's really expensive for a book. But I really was interested in this because, you know, this was in high school when I really loved true crime. I wanted to go to law school, things like that. So that's why I ended up picking up this book, and I just never read it. So hopefully eventually I'll get to it, but who knows. The other ones that I added onto this was, I'm not sure if you can see it right here. I'm not going to take this out because this is a lot. But it's the Throne of Glass series. And let's see, because I wrote on my notebook, I wrote the pages down. So the smallest one is going to be, as far as like the big books, is Heir of Fire. That's 592 pages. And the Kingdom of Ash is the biggest one, sitting at 992 pages. I'm super excited to read this series, especially because it's such a long series. It's completed. I love the Sarah J. Maas universe. I love her style of writing. So this I'm probably going to try and read at least next month, just to catch up with everything before her Crescent City book 3 comes out. The next ones that I have as far as like my big books are going to be the Crescent City series. I have not read either one of them, but I am for this month. So House of Earth and Blood, this one is 816 pages. This one is 768 pages. One thing that is bothering me, and I know this probably bothers everyone else, is one's paperback, one's hardcover. I didn't realize that the paperback was coming out for this one in September, and this was already maybe like a couple weeks after I bought this one, so it's okay. I'm not gonna buy a second one. I barely have any more room on this bookshelf, and I'm that type of person that I rather continuously buy books than actually save up and buy another bookshelf. So this one is just, there's no more room. And so the next books that I have, that as far as like big books, I don't have here. I have like a bookshelf in my living room that holds other books that I'm okay with people looking at, or my family looking at when they come over. There's just like, you're not gonna see 50 Shades of Grey over there. You're not gonna see like my thriller books over there either. But on display over there, I do have my whole Game of Thrones series. Originally, I read the first 2 books. You know, the A Game of Thrones, that one's 722 pages. Clash of Kings is 784 pages. I think altogether, because they're super big books, for these 5 books that are out, it in total is, I believe, either a little over 5,000 pages. But I had it on hold because I kept thinking, I want to say since like COVID, so like 3 years ago, I want to say that I kept up with George R.R. Martin's blog, that he was still writing The Winds of Winter, that he's been making a lot of progress with it. So when I read the second book, I was like, you know what, let me put this off to the side. I'll come back to this series when the next book comes out. That way I can just read them all together. It's been 3 years and I still have not read them. So I don't really remember much other than from what I've seen in the show. So the first 2 got back on my TBR pile. So I have the whole Game of Thrones series still left to read. So I think that's it for like my big books that I have to read. I still have a very huge TBR pile, at least for me. I did buy a Kindle last year, and so I read majority of my books on there, and I don't know what happened. I just started buying lots and lots of physical books, even some that I had as an ebook, but now I have a physical copy. So definitely going to have to get through that, and then eventually I'll start buying more books. But that is it for today's video. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see y'all in my next one. Bye.